This is Fiona.
This is Mark.
And we're from Wellington.
We sure are. And we're embarking on a very exciting journey because we are going to be the owners of the first N51.
So we were getting hull number 3, and then James rang us up and asked us if we'd like hull number 1. And we thought, why not? And we probably ended up getting hull number 1 about when we're expecting hull number 3 anyway.
Yeah, so time-wise it's worked out well, hasn't it?
Yeah, it has.
Yeah,
it has.
Which is really good.
And we're picking it up in Turkey. So this is the second type of boat that Nordhaven's built up in Turkey.
Yeah.
But it's the first one of this size, the 51 foot. And we're going to pick it up in Turkey and we're going to bring it all the way across the world back to little old New Zealand.
That's the aim of it. Mark will be doing the big crossings with somebody else. I'm just going to hop from country to country at that stage, unless I get a little bit more confident, but we'll wait and see. So that will just be something in progress, won't it?
It will.
When did you come across the Nordhaven? Who told you about that?
Oh, yeah. So like when I was 6, Mum and Dad took us back to England, which is the country that they immigrated to New Zealand from. So I don't know whether that started a sort of a vision for seeing more of the world, and then I ended up flying over oceans all the time, and I guess I'm someone that kind of likes adventure, and I like doing things. I'm not a good relaxer, I'm an active relaxer, and for years and years and years I can just always remember thinking one of the last big adventures you can have is to cross an ocean, to sail around the world. And I had a career as a pilot, and one day I was flying across the Tasman. That's a bit of ocean between New Zealand and Australia, and the guy I was flying with, we were talking about boats. He loves boating, and he said, the only boat to have is a Nordhaven. And I'd never heard of it. It sounded like a Viking. And so I got home. I think we had the internet then. Yeah, we did. It was after 2000. So looked up Nordhavens, and I just loved the look of them, and I love the fact they go slow. So on a plane, you're flying around at 500 miles an hour, and if you're going to slow down, then going on a 8-knot boat's a great idea. But I've since learned that going 8 knots on a boat can be pretty adventurous as well.
And things start happening.
They do, eh?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I just had this thing in my head about Nordhavens, and for 20 years I've been looking at it, and then we got the chance to get into a tugboat. It was a salt house. It was a 60-foot boat. We had a share of it, and we just loved it, didn't we?
Yeah, we did. It was neat.
Yeah, and it's probably some of the happiest times we've had together, really.
Yeah. And it was based in the Sounds, down in the South Island, and it was just lovely. So we'd head down there weekends and any spare time we had, and so we just loved it.
Yeah. And then, just travelling as I did flying, it took me to the States. Finally went and looked at some Nordhavens. It's a 52-foot Nordhaven, which was just beautiful, but, way outside what we thought we could afford at the time. And then, COVID came along, got the chance to retire early, got us access to my superannuation early, and we just made the call. It's time to do something for us.
Yeah.
After working really hard for our whole married life.
So I suppose I've always loved water and being close to the water, and from a young age we were really lucky. My parents, who immigrated from Holland, made sure that we got a holiday every year, and we went to the Blue Lakes, which is in Rotorua, and Papa had a ski boat that he bought for us, and so we'd go on the lakes and we'd go water skiing. So we drove that boat. It was just quite a small boat, but every time when I'd look at doing something that would involve some water, like wanting to do a little cruise with a catamaran here in Auckland. We did it. Thinking about going cruising or being on the water, it's just always been a place where I felt quite at home. And then we luckily had the ability to buy part ownership of a salt house, and thoroughly enjoyed that. And that was sort of a bigger step up into being out, in the Sounds and bigger water. But Mark managed that really well, apart from a few little incidents.
The boat was a 60-foot single engine, no bow thruster, high-sided boat.
Coming in when it was windy.
And we had to dock the boat beside this 100-foot super yacht, I suppose you'd call it.
That had no fenders out.
and I lost control of the back end of the boat.
God.
And it was kind of heading off towards this 100-foot boat, and the owner was leaning over the side saying, "I've just spent $400,000 getting this boat fixed, you better not hit us." And the kids were sitting on the end of our boat with their feet against the boat next door to keep us off it.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, my experience in boating, not a lot.
But then the guy.
Oh, the guy, yeah. So it was the ex-harbour master of Wellington, actually, because there's a great crowd there watching this entertainment. And the harbour master afterwards came up to me and he said, "Mate, there are those that have and those that are going to." And it just made me feel...
In terms of having an incident.
Like that. And I guess from that point of view, because you feel pretty stupid at the time, but at the end of the day, I learnt so much. And we probably did... I mean, we would go down, 3 or 4 days a month, every month for 3 years.
Yeah.
And over that time, just learnt so much about boating. And I think probably my flying added a lot to it. Used to the decision making, navigation wasn't an issue, the weather wasn't an issue, inertia, turning distances, things like that. That was all pretty second nature. But what I didn't realise is how quickly things can happen at 7 knots, which when you're flying around at 500 knots just is hard to sort of comprehend. But, on a boat, a big boat, a heavy boat, even going slow has a lot of inertia. So our experience, or my experience, is really around the Marlborough Sounds of New Zealand, across Cook Strait, which can be pretty rough, a lot of rips, things like that.
Round into Nelson.
Into Nelson, Golden Bay.
Golden Bay.
And
then you've done the occasional trip away with guides, fishing trips.
Yeah, fishing trips, up north and that. But not huge experience, but enough to know that I can cope with it.
Yeah.
And that if you just take your time and you're not operating to real time constraints, you can do it really safely.
And the other thing you're doing too, which is just so great, is you're doing all your boat masters. You've done that, and your radio licenses. You've decided that right.
You've got to get, as well as
going to get qualified.
The practical time. It's you got to respect what it is you're doing.
Yeah.
And in New Zealand, you don't need a license. You need a radio license, but you don't have to have a boat license of any sort to take a boat out privately. But I think you need to respect the profession, if you like, that you're entering into. And so I've done my boat masters and about to do the radio license.